Alright, so I suck at mixing, but I was able to produce, mix and master 9 top 50 records and get over 120 million streams on those records. So here's the top 50 records. Here is the 122 million streams. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through everything I learned about mixing so that you can mix like a pro, even if you happen to suck at it like I do. Now, how I used to mix is very different from how I mix today. And how I used to mix was that first of all, I overcomplicated my mixing like crazy. I tried all the fancy plugins, tried all of the crazy mixing techniques. I used to think like, okay, if I only get this one expensive plugin, all of my problems are solved. If I get this waves bundle, if I get this and that, like plugins aren't bad, but it's not the solution to the problem. Then all of these techniques with the mid-side EQ and the, I don't know, upwards compression, downwards compression, whatever the fuck compression, all of these techniques to try and make my mixes sound good. And again, there's nothing wrong with the techniques, but they weren't the root of my problem. Then lastly, that led to me spending hours and hours overthinking my mixing, trying a bunch of different things, not really getting anywhere, and just making beats that didn't really sound that good. And I thought that mixing was the magical silver bullet I needed to make my beat sound good. I thought that if I just had the best, most professional sounding mix, my beats would be good, I would be set, and I would be a full-time music producer within no time. But what I realized eventually, or what I realize now, is that most of the time my mixing problem wasn't really the real problem. And mixing is actually simple. I'm going to show you how. But right before I do that, if you want a copy of this Google Doc and to learn more about making pro quality beats, then I'm sharing it for free in my free community. I'm going to just show you the community real quick so you can check it out. Here's the community. We're doing 2 calls a week, 1 call like this, 1 feedback call. Got some cool stuff in here. And then a bunch of cool people doing a bunch of cool stuff, sharing wins, getting feedback. It's dope. It's a nice place to be. Anyways, back to the value of this video. So as I said, mixing is simple and I'm gonna walk you through how. So the different way that I mix now is that I first of all focus a lot on sound selection. And all that means is just to pick sounds that work together. So sounds that sound good and sound good together. Do that and your mixes are like 90% done. Then composition. And what composition means is that through the ways that I make my melodies, the ways that I make my patterns, I make things fit there as well. And when I'm doing my melodies, I like to think in frequencies. So like we got the lows, we got the mids, we got the highs, and I want to fill out the frequency spectrum with different sounds and instruments. Then lastly, leveling. So I got some simple guidelines, I'm going to walk you through them. And then also focusing on the vibe and feel, and I'm going to show you exactly how I kind of approach that. Then of course we got the EQ, and it's subtractive EQ and coloring EQ, and all of that is going to make sense in just a little bit. So I like to show, not tell, and let's go ahead and open up a project so that I can actually show you what I mean by all of this and not just tell you. So here I got a pretty basic little 80s type of demo that I made. It's a demo, it's pretty rough. I just threw it together. And let's go ahead and listen to how it sounds right now. I mean, it sounds all right, but I think it can sound a lot better. So the first thing I like to do is that I think the sound selection can probably be improved on this, but what I like to do is to just I actually like to start leveling. So I'll start leveling and then I'll see if there's any sounds that I want to switch out. Because instead of trying to go in and fix everything with an EQ and a compressor, it's way easier to just switch the sounds and then use the EQ to just clean things up. At least in my experience. And that's how this really stupid, dumb, simple mixing thing works. So I'm actually just go ahead and take everything down to 0. Keep it very simple. Then if you're actually serious about this, you should name your tracks. I don't, but hey. So I'm gonna start with the kick. Now, when it comes to these like leveling guidelines, every sound is different. Every sound needs a different level. But I like to start at like, for the kick, -9 to -12. Somewhere around that area, whatever sounds good to me at the moment. I'm gonna put this one at -12 because it's kind of hard hitting already. Then I'm gonna get my snare. I actually had a layer. Yeah, I don't like that layer. So one thing is just removing sounds that doesn't sound good. I actually like this way more. And for this particular beat, like if you're doing straight up trap, I recommend having the kick louder than the snare. But in this case, I wanna have the snare at around the same level. Again, might change it because this will all change as I bring in other instruments. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Then, so I like to get the kick, snare, and bass. I like to start with those, actually. And for the bass, I actually have 2 basses. I have one main bass and one sub bass. But I'm gonna layer in the main bass, and then we can do the sub bass. Let's see if I can find the bass. There we go. Oh, that's the sub bass. There we go. And as I said, when it comes to leveling, I like to go for the vibe and feel of the beat. So it's not only about like sonically what sounds good, it's about how it makes you feel. So if I have the bass super low, for example, I don't really get the vibe of the bass. But if I turn it up, I really feel it. However, this is too much. So I'm gonna lower it. And I'm looking for a level where I can still hear the kick, I can still hear the snare, but the bass comes through as well. And it gives me the vibe that I want. Now, the next part of this bass is of course the sub bass. Now I'm gonna show you what I mean by composition. So for example, these actually work pretty well together. This is both sound selection and composition working together. So these work pretty well together without any type of mixing on them. Because if we look at this bass, sure it has low end, but you can barely hear it. There's not much sub in here that is audible. However, there's a lot of sub in this one, but that sub is only here. Whereas in the first bass, there is sub, but most of what we hear is over here. And that's why they actually, like, if we actually use our ears, instead of just listening or looking at the frequencies, we can hear that they actually work pretty well together. Now, with that being said, is this going to be the most tactical, super engineer way of mixing? No. But it has worked for me, and I promise that it will work for you as well. But just for the sake of being a little bit correct, we're going to cut some lows from that first bass to make sure that it just doesn't clash with the sub bass. Now I'm going to level in the sub bass to a level where I feel like I feel the sub bass, I can hear it, but it's not overpowering anything else. pretty good. Nice. Now, after I got those, I either like to get the main melody in or the hi-hat. I'm actually do the hi-hat in this case, just because, I don't know, I feel like it. So let's get the hi-hat. And it's the same thing here, like when you level in percussion and stuff, listen to what they do to the vibe of the beat. Because if I have it really low, like this, the beat isn't gonna feel as intense and as up-tempo, but if I raise it, we're literally adding more energy. So that's something that I started to actually think about when I mix my stuff, and it made a world of difference when it came to getting the beats to artists. Because they would literally be like, hey, like they would not hear, like, for example, if I made a drill beat but made the hat like too low, they would say like, oh, I kind of missed, like it doesn't feel, I don't have that drill feeling that I want. But then if I just did something as simple as raising the hi-hat, all of a sudden the drill feeling was back. So already this sounds pretty solid. Now let's get the main instrument in there. Now I'm looking for a level where the main instrument is able to come through, do its thing, without overshadowing the kick, snare, and bass. So without any processing, anything yet, I just try to make everything sound as good as it possibly can with just the levels. Also, keep listening and referencing, like, how does it make the vibe of the beat feel? Like, how does it make it sound? Not just sonically, but how does it make it feel? Because that's so important. What I'm particularly looking for now is a place where this doesn't mess up the bass. This could actually be a composition issue. So you see I have these notes. They actually clash with the bass and they're not really needed. So that's a mistake on me, on my end, when I was making the beat, not a mixing problem. So I could go in and try to EQ this and it wouldn't be that great, or I could just literally do this. And it's clean, easy. And for the parts where I don't have the bass, for example here, I keep it. It's not harder than that. So it's also a composition and arrangement thing, which can mess up your mixes, which I didn't understand for a very long time. Now all of a sudden it sounds clean. Now, for example, I can hear this, I listen to this and I'm like, that hi-hat doesn't hit as much as I want it to. Like, it doesn't have the snappiness that I wanted. It sounds kind of dull, it sounds kind of boring. So what I could do here is like bring out the transient shaper, bring out the fucking the EQ and the who knows, a compressor maybe, and do a whole bunch of craziness to it. Or I could just switch to a hat that actually sounds the way I want it to from the beginning and save myself all of the trouble of doing that. So I can just play this, find a new sound. Perhaps I actually liked that one more. I'm gonna try this one because I liked it. Oh my god. Now you might think like, hey, wouldn't it have been faster to do the other thing? Yes. For some people, yes. But then that comes with its own set of problems where you start tweaking sounds, they might go up in volume, and then you have a whole bunch of other issues. Yeah, that was nice, just on the wrong track, but I like that sound. It sounded better together with other instruments. Yeah, that's way cleaner. That's way cleaner already, and all I did was switch the sound instead of doing a whole bunch of craziness that would have taken me hours to fix. And the beautiful thing about this now is that I can raise this main melody and get more of that, the vibe that that instrument has, since I lowered the other, or since I removed the bass notes from it. But for example, with the sub bass, I think I was gonna show this earlier, but I forgot. So it's a composition thing as well with the sub bass, because if I raise it 1 octave, starts sounding like shit, because it doesn't fit with the original bass anymore. If I lower it 1 octave, it fits. So that's also a huge thing. To make everything sound good together, like the octaves and the frequencies, so low, mid, high. And as you can see, that's kind of how I'm going about this mix so far. We got the lows, which is the sub bass, some parts of the kick. Then we also got the low mids, which is like the other bass. And then we got the mids, mids, which is the main melody. Then we got the highs, the hi-hat, and so on. Cool. Now, next, what other instruments do I have in here? Yeah, I got these chords. Here it's starting to get a little bit messy, so I'm gonna see if I perhaps can do something with, because these sound good, they do. But it starts to get a little bit messy because they're actually clashing with this one. So sometimes I like to solo, if there's 2 instruments that I want to match together, I like to solo things out. So I'm gonna actually try and remove these, because I suspect these are the ones that actually are clashing. I wouldn't actually say that's the ones that are clashing. Hold on, I'm gonna change this so we don't get any clicks and pops. All right, there we go. This might actually be one of those cases where I just switch the sound to something that actually fits with the pad, or sorry, with the main melody, because I feel like this pad kind of doesn't fit actually. So that's, again, production. Like the better production you have, the less mixing you'll have to do. So I'm just gonna go through my sounds until I find something that actually do fit and sounds good. Not that thing. Sometimes Logic makes things out of key. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this preset. So yeah, let's go ahead and find a sound that actually works. I don't know why it's actually doing that. It's so weird. Sometimes I noticed that with Serum 2. Sometimes Serum 2 starts playing like the demo MIDI from the sound that I downloaded it with. If anybody knows why that is, please let me know. Anyways, I think we're back now. So we want to find a sound that actually fits. Already, like, this sounds way better. But not quite. So let's keep looking. Almost. This was alright. We can do some inversions and stuff to see if we can make it sound even better. Getting better, but still sound isn't what it needs to be. Better. So now I'm gonna take these back because I think it can sound better with these down. I don't know why things got off beat, but let's fix that and then we're good to go. But now it's like I got the same feeling, I got the vibe that I want, but it's cleaner. And I have not like touched a single piece of processing or EQing yet. Now let's see what else we have in here. Nice. Now, once I've done that, so I first of all, sound selection, this is something you do in the production stage, but it's something I keep doing once I mix. Because sometimes I start noticing things once I mix that I didn't notice when I'm in the production phase. Because when I'm producing, I just want to get the ideas out, get the vibe in, and be done with it. Then composition, same thing there. Like that's production, but sometimes you don't think about all of those things while you're producing. So I like to address that when I'm mixing as well. Then lastly, we got, or next to last, we got leveling. And I showed you the simple guidelines plus, you know, leveling after vibe and feel. And this is something that I keep doing throughout the whole mixing process. Now we move over to EQing. So we got subtractive EQing and coloring EQing. Now I like to do both. So subtractive EQing is basically just using the EQ to shape the sound of the sound, if that makes sense. Like you use it in a in a coloring way where you make things sound the way you want them to sound. So not just, you know, looking at the waveforms and the meters and looking like, okay, how many frequencies am I removing? Am I removing the lows, the highs, whatever? Like, not only that, but also looking at, you know, how does it actually sound? Like, can I enhance frequencies that I do want? Can I remove the frequencies that I don't like and shape the overall sound of the song to sound the way that I actually want it to sound? So that's what I'm gonna start doing now. So yeah, sometimes I like soloing things out. I've heard it's not good, but whatever. Now the first thing I'm gonna do is actually add an EQ to this main sound, and I'm gonna remove some of the lows from this because it doesn't need it. It didn't even have it. Now I'm gonna find some frequencies that kind of masks the bass, and I like to do this and then sweep until I can't really hear the bass anymore. Nice. And I think the bass, it has some stuff in there that I don't like with it either. Like, I want to get rid of the parts that are messing up the main sound. So then I'll follow the same process again. Like right here, it removes everything from, basically everything. I could actually take this, completely messes everything up. Now all of a sudden everything is coming through even more. But if I do this, I completely remove the feeling of that bass, so I don't want to overdo it either. Hold on. Let me do this so we don't get any more lags. Nice. Yeah, then we got the guitar. That shit is actually clashing. Like, we don't need this because we got so many other instruments taking up that space. What I'm looking for now is that second synth that we had is kind of getting covered up by this. So I'm gonna remove this to bring forward more of the synth. Nice. And I was like, with all of these changes, I kind of want to re-level things a little bit, because I can hear that I have way more room for stuff. Sometimes I actually like muting things and leveling in, for example, the main again. The main melody with the drums, making sure that sounds nice. That's just me. I like doing it that way. And I was like, maybe I want to remove some of this to make more room for the bass. And then, like, for example here, there's nothing wrong with this, except that I don't like the sound of it, so I'm gonna lower it. Like, for example, does this EQ curve make perfect sense? I don't know, but it sounds good to my ears, so I'm around with it. I'm actually gonna raise this bass because I want more of it. Actually want some more hi-hat. Actually starting to sound pretty good. I'm gonna lower the kick. And the snare actually. Because for this I want the instruments to take more room. I don't want my snare to be that much in that range. Nice. Now let me see if there's actually some frequencies in the sound that I do like. I do like this 8K, so I'm gonna boost it just a tiny bit. The hi-hat, I actually want to boost the highs a little bit. Then let's see this sound. This sound, all I want to do is get it out of the way of the bass. And that's like here. I'm gonna try and add chorus to this to make it really, really wide. Then like that. Let's remove that. Forget it ever happened. Now here's one thing that I like doing, which is like literally go to the master and find the parts of the whole track that you don't like and lower it. Like color the whole track. I don't know if that's legal or not, but I like doing it. And then get the limiter on there. Now I'm gonna do some final leveling just to really bring out the vibe that I want. And when it comes to this, it's like, it's not the most like scientific way of mixing. It's not. Not every time that it's gonna be good. Sorry, not every time that it's gonna be amazing, but it's gonna get the job done. And when we just wanna send beats out to artists, get things played, I promise you this is enough. I can promise you this is enough. This gets the job done, and you don't have to spend hours overthinking, mixing, whatever. Just pick the right sounds, make sure nothing clashes, level it out nicely, color it the way you want it to, add some effects if you feel like it. I didn't really feel like any effects, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And when I started mixing like this, things got easier, more high quality beats overall, especially focusing on these parts, like sound selection, composition, all of that. Way more important than the actual mixing itself. And then just applying the simple mixing made it all way better. And then artists, most importantly, the people that were actually wanting to use the beats, they like the sound more. I also want to add one thing, which I didn't do now, because honestly I forgot, which is to pan. So we can just do that really quickly. Panning, pretty basic. Try different places. Try different, like, try right, try left, see which one you like. What is this? Yeah, the guitar could probably go left. Way better. Because then it's like, once you've done this, very simple, it's enough. Because then, I mean, if the artist is mixing it themselves, they're gonna go in and do this on your beat to make their vocals fit. Unless you give them the stems, or you go back and mix it, because then you can fit everything with the vocal. Or if you have an engineer, then they can do all the technical stuff. But this is well enough to get your beats to people, have them hear it, and like it. I promise you. By the way, if you want to work with me one-on-one to go full-time with music and make anywhere from 3 to 10k a month with that, I actually have 2 spots open right now to work with me. First come, first serve. There's a link to apply to this in the description. Now, again, back to the value. Here's the lessons learned. Sound selection beats mixing techniques, always. Like whatever mixing techniques you can come up with, spend more time picking better sounds. I could honestly have done a better job with this, spending more time with the sound. But bottom line is, it's most of the time it's not a mixing issue that we have, it's a production issue. And then make your sounds fit through composition first. Like look at, okay, do I have a whole bunch of sounds that are all playing this low octave? Then maybe I should remove it from some. Do I have a bunch of chords, like triad chords, all playing the same chords in the same frequency? Then either switch the sound or change the inversions and voicings of them to make them fit. Then, of course, I want to say that there's actually, at least from my experience, again, I'm no engineer, I'm just a producer, but there's no right or wrong. Just keep it simple, get the sound, like get the production right, and then shape the mix to your liking, and it's gonna work. Could it potentially be better mixes? Yeah, absolutely. But we're not engineers at the end of the day. We're producers. We're here to make music, get people on it, ship it out to the world, have people listen to it and fucking love it. And this is well enough to do that. All right, that's the video. Thank you for watching.